All right. Mary and Patty are brother and sister. They live in a sort of an industrial area outside of Dublin where they work in a factory. They've been doing it for several years and they're tired of it. Patty says, let's emigrate. Let's go to the United States and get jobs there. Mary says, works for me. So they get on the train and they go into downtown Dublin to the American Embassy and they apply for work visas in the United States. The clerk says, I have to tell you right up front, we're looking for skilled employees. We've got all kinds of people trying to get in that are not going to help us economy-wise. He turns to Patty and says, and what do you do? And Patty puffs himself up and says, I'm a diesel fitter. Oh, that sounds really technical. I'll give you a work visa. Turns to Mary and says to Mary, what do you do? And she said, I make women's pantyhose. Well, I don't know. That doesn't sound very technical. And Patty says, well, we work side by side. What do you mean? And he says, she makes the pantyhose, and I hold them up and look at them and say, diesel fitter. Lucy, you know what time it is? It's time for the people stories.
People who need people are the luckiest people in the world.
I've been collecting and telling jokes since I was about 8. I'm not going to bore you with the very first pun I ever heard, but I remember it very, very well. 64 years I've been doing this. I had never been to a joke tellers convention. Last month, I went to to Las Vegas, and a friend of mine took me to a joke tellers convention. We walked in and we sat down in the auditorium. There's a microphone. There's a line of people waiting for the microphone. This fellow steps up and says, I'm Frank, 2173. There's polite laughter, little applause. Frank goes away. Lady gets up and says, I'm Maureen, 1797. More applause and some polite laughter. I turned to my friend and I said, what the hell's going on? Oh, these are professional joke tellers. They know all the jokes. So to give everybody a chance to tell a joke, we've just given them numbers. And everybody understands and they laugh politely and everybody gets to participate. It's a great system. Then up comes Joanne. Joanne says, 7123. Laughter, applause, except for one guy way over in the corner who is choking with laughter. He's literally rolling on the floor. And I turned to my friend and said, what's with that guy? Oh, he never heard that one before. And then a couple of storytellers later, Mary turns up and says, I'm Mary, 7112. There's no laughter. There's no applause. Dead silence. And I turned to my friend and said, what's that? Oh, Mary, she never could tell a joke. There's a new business, 2 businesses going in here in Marion, over near the gas house. There are some people who think it's going to be a dentist office. It's not. 2 people that I know are opening up a veterinary and a taxidermy. They're brothers. They're going to have a great big sign over the common building, and it says, one way or the other, you're getting your dog back. George is a psychiatrist. He treats pretty much the range of psychiatric problems. Fellow comes in and sits down on the couch and says, "Doc, you have to help me. Please, you have to help me." Well, what's the problem? The problem is I have earwigs. I hear a song, and it's always a Tom Jones song running through my head, a different one every day, but it's always Tom Jones. I wake up in the morning and I have it. I go to bed at night and I can't sleep. I can't work. I can't eat. Do a lot of people suffer from stuff like this? And George's last words were, "It's not unusual." I was at the hospital the other day for a blood test. Have you been to the new hospital? It's really nice. Expensive, but really nice. I was sitting there in the waiting room at the lab to get the blood work done, and I heard this terrible squabbling going down the hallway. Are these two people, and the man is screaming at his wife, "You're always pushing me around and talking behind my back." She says, "Dear, you're in a wheelchair." Two college professors that I know are naturists. They go to a nudist colony every summer. They're sitting on the front porch of the nudist colony, rocking chairs kind of like this one. One turns to the other and says, "Have you read Marx?" And the other one says, "Yeah, it's the wicker." In West Virginia, there's a river. It's called the New River. Paradoxically, it is the oldest river in the world. Those mountain ranges there are the oldest in the entire world, which explains why they're worn down to big foothills. I can say that because my wife isn't here to defend them. It's also the home of the Hatfields and the McCoys. Cletus Hatfield lives on one side, and Clarence McCoy lives on the other. This has been going on so long, they have no idea why the hell they're fighting. They just know that it's ingrained in the Hatfields and the McCoys to hate one another. And they'd both, on a Saturday night, get all liquored up, and they'd go down to the riverbank, and they'd shout across the river at one another, and once in a while one would bring out a shotgun, but it was so far away that nobody ever really got hurt. Cletus went home one day, said to Essie Mae, "If I could get across that river, I'd take an axe handle and I'd beat Clarence's butt." Essie Mae says, "Well, you can now. There's a new bridge." "A new bridge? I didn't hear about that." "Yeah, it's 2 miles downstream. You can drive down there in 5 minutes, cross the bridge, and up 5 minutes, and you be at Cletus's house, and you could tear him a new butt with your axe handle." Cletus gets in the car, and he roars out of the driveway, and 2 minutes later, 4 minutes later, he's back, and he goes and he hides in the woodshed. Essie Mae says, "Well, Cletus, what are you doing?" He said, "You know, that river must be a lot wider than it looks. Because that there Clarence, he's too big for me to take on. Just didn't look like it. He was so far away." "Well, what do you mean?" "I drove down there to that bridge, and there over the bridge was a sign that said, 'Clarence, 14 feet 6 inches.'"